Chapter 2. The Journey for a Better Life. Years earlier, Kofi and his wife Amma had made a decision that would change everything. It wasn't made lightly. It wasn't made without tears. They chose to leave home and start again in a foreign land. Australia, not for comfort, not for luxury, but for opportunity. The kind of opportunity they could never find back home. The kind that came with a cost. And the cost was everything familiar. The day they left, the air felt heavy. Ava held their children tightly, as if her arms could somehow delay time. Their youngest clung to her dress, not fully understanding what was happening. "Mommy, when are you coming back?" one of them asked. Alma couldn't answer. Her throat tightened. Her eyes filled. She looked at Kofi instead. He stepped forward, steady, but not untouched. "This sacrifice," he said softly, "is for their future." It became a sentence they would repeat to survive the distance. They left their children behind in the village, under the care of Kofi's aging parents. It was the only option they had. But that didn't make it easier. Every night in Australia felt too quiet. No laughter, no small footsteps running through the house, no voices calling Mama or Papa, just silence and longing. Mama carried that pain every single day. Sometimes she would sit alone, holding their children's photos, tracing their faces with her fingers. "I hope they don't forget us," she whispered once. Kofi didn't respond immediately, because deep down he feared the same thing. But fear had no place in the life they had chosen. So instead, they worked. And they worked hard. Double shifts became normal. Sleep became optional. Exhaustion became a constant companion. Kofi would wake up before the sun rose and return long after it had set. His body ached, but his mind never rested, because every hour worked meant school fees paid. Every dollar saved meant a step closer to bringing their children back to them. Amma worked just as tirelessly. Together, they became a team driven by one thing, a future they could not yet see, but refused to give up on. But Kofi didn't stop at just working. He started to think bigger. At the workshop, while others focused only on the job in front of them, Kofi paid attention to everything: the cars that came in, the parts that were discarded, the opportunities others overlooked. He saw value where others saw waste. Before long, he began shipping containers back to Africa: cars, spare parts, goods that could be repaired, resold, repurposed, anything that could be turned into income. It wasn't easy. There were risks, delays, losses, moments where things didn't go as planned. But Kofi kept going, because for him, failure wasn't the end. It was just part of the process. Slowly, things began to change. Money started to flow more steadily. Opportunities began to open. People started to notice. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was building something bigger than himself, something that could change his family's future. He became more than a worker. He became the breadwinner, the provider, the pillar everyone leaned on. And with that came a different kind of pressure, the kind that doesn't show on the outside, the kind that builds quietly over time, because the more he succeeded, the more people depended on him. His family back home, his parents growing older, his children growing up without him, and here in Australia, his wife, his responsibilities, his growing commitments. Everyone needed something, and Kofi made sure he never said no. But in the middle of building a better life for everyone else, he never stopped to ask himself one question: what was it costing him?